Alright, all you music makers, video game players, entertainers, listeners of the madness, streetlight crusaders, infomercial watchers, and game show contestants, along with, I guess, a couple of you telemarketers who are gonna call at any minute despite the time we decided to start this show. And welcome to the special year-ending edition of A Work in Progress. I am your host from the East Coast, DJ Smokey, and yeah, like we said before, year-ending edition of the show. Hard to believe we've went through, what day are we on, Maestro? Day 363, right? Or is it hold on. Yeah, 363 days already elapsed on the calendar, with only 2 days left until we celebrate the new decade that's coming soon. And I still can't believe that. We're going into a brand new decade. And the reason why I can't believe it is because I'm thinking something is gonna happen major along the lines of what happened when disco changed over to the 80s, or the 90s turned into the 2000s, or even when the 2000s hit the 10s, and now we're heading into the 20s. I still think we're gonna get those flying cars that I always wanted. You know, my fingers are still crossed for it. But besides those flying cars that I'm really hoping for in the near future, folks, we forgot to mention a couple of things about this past week's 5-year anniversary of Under the Radar, and one of them is the fact that we really did try to put as much information as possible in for the Retromania for WrestleMania 25, but we forgot to include a couple of things. That a Diva Search winner in the form of Layla was involved in that match, and would be probably one of the last Diva Search winners involved in some form of big Monopoly match like this until WrestleMania 26? I do believe. Either way, let's just say this much, folks. The only person still who was a Diva Search winner, a part of WWE, who ever got a title shot on the grand stage was one Christy Hemme. And that was against none other than Trish Stratus. Which tells you a lot, folks. Really does. But besides that, for Under the Radar, folks, and one little heads up, we were originally supposed to add for that show the top 5 tracks of the decade. That's what we were supposed to add for the last episode of Under the Radar that we had. The top 5 tracks of the decade included in, and mention a couple of fun tracks that we've been playing for well over the past decade that just passed us up. But then we realized, wait a minute, Grand Theft Auto 6, that's the thing a lot of people believe is coming out soon, but no, Grand Theft Auto 5 has only been out for about a good 6 years. So we couldn't possibly do something called the top 5 tracks of the decade. Even though I really wanted to mention a couple of your cool tracks that we did play throughout the past 6 years, we might hold off on that. I don't know. Probably in another 4 more years, when the Indie Awards rolls around again, we'll probably mention it then. And also, besides that, folks, for the Indie Radio Arcade, some very important things. Immediately after the show was over, we managed to watch the original, and thanks to a friend out there for actually giving me a location where I can go get the VHS tape for, we were able to watch the original version of Dawn of the Dead. And as a comparison from the original to the remake, the people in the original version of the movie was a lot smarter than the ones in the remake version. I don't know why, but yeah, they were a lot smarter. And not to mention, instead of trying to go for a boat, they had a helicopter in that one. But the only problem with that is they didn't have enough fuel, and they ran into a whole bunch of problems along the way, including one of the people out there who tried to be, I guess, a risk taker is the best way to call him. I was going to call him a thrill seeker, but a risk taker. And it cost him his life during that film. A little bit of a spoiler alert, and that's the only spoiler we're going to give you until we actually review that movie, most likely in, I want to say February. February at the earliest. The latest, most likely October when we review that movie. And another big important news update, folks, and too bad we don't have that background music for Eyewitness News, for Phantasy Star Online Blue Burst News. And news we should have reported to you as of last Sunday, because it's now official, folks. For the 2019 wrap-up year, we now have the Christmas event for the Ultima servers. And for those out there who are wondering, this is probably one of the biggest events they have besides their anniversary event, where you had a chance to get a Sonic Team armor, which is one of their biggest shields in the game. This event, on the other hand, gives you a chance to get probably one of the most powerful weapons in the game in sword, wand, or even gun form. And what do I mean by that, folks? Well, one of the items you can get in this game by trying to beat Ogla Flow is not only the parasitic gene flow, but I do believe a mod that you could use for mags. And I'm being corrected by the maestro right now saying that was the last event. Right. And unfortunately, I was unable to participate in the last event. Mostly because I was sick, that, and plus we were trying to scramble around to get all the shows ready for the end of the year. And trust me, folks, when I say this is the calm before the big storm that's gonna hit not only Monday, but Tuesday for the Tuesday night special prior to New Year's Eve. And I heard rumors that Steve Harvey and Roman Reigns is gonna be there for the New Year's Eve party for this year. I was about to say Simon Carroll. No. I mean, Ryan Seacrest. Yeah, the guy who took over for Dick Clark after he passed away. What, he gave up? So is Kathy Lee still doing a New Year's thing too, or no? With Anderson Cooper? Anybody know? No? Why am I asking you, Maestro? Usually you go to New York City with the Dan the Weatherman stew for New Year's Eve, but you're going to be stuck with us for this year. He's not going to be happy about that, but then again, with the fact that he built a makeshift tower, and let me just tell you this much, folks. Dan the Weatherman Stew told me and showed me a picture of this giant oversized tower with the word Tuesday Night Special written on it that has a New Year's ball on it. And at midnight, when the ball drops, it will shoot confetti out of it, celebrating the new year. But I told them this show will not go over the New Year time limit that we have, because we got to be out of here before New Year's. Because we have an annual tradition in town where we go outside over by where the dollar store is and go watch fireworks outside while everybody who paid about $15 to $20 to actually have a New Year's party in the main part of town goes watch them for about, $20? Yeah, and go watch them for $20. Or is it 15? I don't know. I've never been. Never in my life have been to the first night event that they have uptown. But to get back on the track that we're currently on for Phantasy Star Online Blue Burst News, folks, besides the parasitic gene flow, a couple of other cool weapons you can get in this game along the lines of the Astrian Belt, which is a very rare partisan sword, also the Chameleon Scythe, the Crazy Tune, which is a guitar sword. Cool, yes I know. The Daisy Chain, the Galatine, which is a powerful saber that's only powerful during the daytime hours. The Garrisol, the Harrison Battle Fan, fun weapon by the way. The Marasume, katana by the way. Sonic Knuckle, which is basically Sonic's Knuckles, or not Sonic's Knuckles, Knuckles that you can use at high rank speeds to take out your enemies. The Soul Eater Toy Hammer, and then to the gun section, the LNK-38 Combat, which is a Gatling gun, the Fannin Maser, which is a pulsar cannon of sorts. Let's just say it confused enemies and it's real cool. The Rambling May, and the Tension Blaster, which I do believe is Ulala's weapon from Space Alpha 5. Yeah, and by the way, the only reason I remember that game is because of Sega Tennis, which I need to go back to play that game too. And over toward the wand section, folks, you got a broom, then an Earth Wand Brownie, a game magazine, a kunai, a syringe, and a Valkyrie. And for armor, you get the Crow Sweater, which is a good weapon or armor that you could use for your force classes. Then to the shields, for those out there who wants them, you get the DF shield, the honeycomb reflector, the green ring, blue ring, yellow ring, Foy merge, Barter merge, Zonde merge, Jafoy merge, G-Barter merge, or G-Barta merge, Jazande merge, Rafoy merge, Barter merge. Let's just say all of the magical attacks you could possibly imagine, including a red, blue, and yellow merge shields to go along with them. And those shields can actually amplify your magical attacks if need be. And for those who has the Master Laser, I think it's the Laser Maser, the evolved version of the Fannin Maser, you can actually use that to amplify the electrical attacks for the weapon, which comes in handy for those who are at low levels and wants to try to hit the Griffins while teaming up with your friends who are at a higher level than you and is worried that you can't get that experience from it. Just use that weapon, you'll just be fine. Or you'll be just fine. See, we're tongue-tied for this last show prior to the big storm we got planned for next week. Or for this week. Yeah, we're real hyped, folks. We really are. But to continue on with the list, you also have the Antimite Memo, the Heart of Morlanian, and the Tablet. And one thing that they included for a special item to include the New Year party that's coming within the next 2 days, they have a special card that is entitled the New Year's card that you can redeem for any event until December 24th, which unfortunately we didn't mention this sooner because the old uses for the cards was an ability to actually turn it in for a special item, but unfortunately, yeah. As of right now, with those New Year's cards, the new use is still yet to be named and will be named as of, according to what the sheet says, it'll be named as of this upcoming year in 2020. But a couple of other cool surprises you can get during this is Christmas presents that contains the Heart of an Angel, Heart of Devil, Kit of Hamburger, Panther Spirit, Kit of Mark III, Master System, Genesis, Sega Saturn, Dreamcast, Assure Magcell, and that's about it. Yes, and all those items we just listed, folks, are modifications for your mags in the world of Phantasy Star Online. And a couple of people will fetch a pretty good penny if you're able to capture any of those systems that we named down on the bottom for mag mods, because a lot of people want to turn their mags into game consoles. Don't know why, but they do. And if you guys want to check out any of the other cool weapons that we already listed, or even want to check out the stats for those said weapons, you can head on over to the website only known as FantasyStarOnline.net to check it out for yourselves. And good luck to all of those who are currently hunting the weapons, and hopefully Dr. Mask can join in on those said hunts, hopefully in the middle of the month. Because that's the only free time we have in January, folks. The middle of that month. Because after that, We have anniversary shows up the wazoo to plan for, including the 4-year anniversary of the Indie Radio Arcade, which we may call the 4-year plus spectacular. Not too entirely sure, because I don't know if many people out there completed a game more than 4 times, with the exception of Resident Evil and probably a couple of Final Fantasy games. But yeah, not too entirely sure if people completed a game 4 times over. But if you have, leave it down in the comments and let me know which game it is, because I want to know. And to get back on track, folks, another anniversary show we got planned for next year is the 6th year anniversary of Music Village, which is going to hold a special place in my heart because it'll be on the same day we debuted Music Village to you fans out there, on the 24th of January on 2020. Yeah. And I do believe the show originated on January 24th of 2014. So it's hard to believe that we've come full circle after 6 years and a change of a decade, and I can't wait to show you guys what cool things we got planned for that show, but it's top secret for now, because we have no idea what we're going to do for it till then. And besides all of that, folks, another cool thing that we still have planned, and as a matter of fact, my sister would probably laugh that I still do this, we have end of the year games that we still have left to beat. Since we already beaten Resonance of Fate in August, the only 2 other games we still have left to conquer, which I think as of this past week we already did, Final Fantasy 15, yeah, that's in the books, but we still have to beat the DLCs for it. And the last but not least game, we said WWE 2K14. Now, before anybody says, oh, DJ Smokey, that game is well over 6 to 7 years old, why is that on your list of games to beat? Well, we had an independent federation internet league thing that we had called the Tri-State Wrestling Federation, and we've been doing pay-per-views for that for years on end, and we said that this year was going to be the last year we cranked out one last cool pay-per-view for that said company. And I think the last pay-per-view we decided to have was War of the Champions, and I still think we're, 3 matches away from completing that one pay-per-view. So, before New Year's, we're going to try to get that pay-per-view out so we can hopefully have, for 2020, hopefully before WrestleMania, another classic edition of, you know what? Since the year's almost over, why not, Maestro? Cue the horns, Maestro, for another edition of the DJ Smokies Great Moments in Wrestling History. If you're wondering at home, I do believe this is the first time we've done this for the show. And I still need to clean out those cobwebs here in Music Village headquarters. It's been up there for like about 2 months, but I'm afraid that there's a spider in there and it might get me. Yeah, so I don't want to risk that. I really don't want to risk that. But spiders aside, folks, I do believe that's it for the list of games we still have to beat before the end of the year. And and more interesting news outside of the world of Phantasy Star Online, they finally decided to add in Grand Theft Auto 5 for Grand Theft Auto Online a weaponized version of the JB700. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, the car that you've seen for the longest amount of time since last gen that was in the, I think the luxury motorsports section of the game, they finally decide to weaponize it, but a little bit of a warning for you fans out there who wants to get that car, it will cost you well over upwards of $1.7 to $1.8 million. And the reason why that is because once you buy the base car itself, which is $1.4 million. Then you're going to have to buy the machine gun turrets that goes with it, which will cost you about, what, 100 and something? I think it was cheaper than that, but either way, it's going to cost you a pretty penny for that, and for the spikes or the oil slick that you decide to get for that said car. And I think the spike strips cost about 900,000 or 90,000. I might be off with a decibel there, but either way, it will cost you a bit of money to get that, to have the true James Bond experience. And I got a feeling by next year, I'm going to get my hands on that car, because I really do want it. Not only because I am a huge fan of 007, folks, but mostly to get that spike strip for any major mission I decide to do that I can bring that car along with me. I can just drop down a couple of spike strips and get rid of enemies that are behind me. I would go for the oil slick, but I don't know. I really don't know how effective oil slick is going to be against an enemy. They might do one of those Dukes of Hazzard barrel rolls over it, but at the same time, I think spike strips are more effective to get rid of an enemy than a whole bunch of oil on the ground. Unless you can set it on fire. Oh, could you imagine that, Maestro? If you can actually drop the oil slick on the ground and then just shoot it behind you and watch the cars go ablaze. I need to test that out when I get that car. If they can do that, really wish you could have it. And another car request for 007 fans out there, maybe the BMW with the Stinger missiles behind the headlights. Include that one too in the near future if you can. You know, Rockstar, if you're listening out there for any 007 sort of, cars that you're going to add in the future. And maybe the laser watch too from GoldenEye. Include that in too. And maybe a grappling hook. Yes, Maestro, until my dying day, I'm going to keep asking for a grappling hook in a game. Because it needs to happen. If they have flying bikes in the game that can shoot missiles at you from far away as a football field, they can have, a grappling hook in the game. It has to happen. Yeah, the whole year, folks, we managed to bring grappling hooks into your local homes. And outside of that, folks, to circle back to Final Fantasy 15, we managed to not only get the DLC content for the game, but we also managed to get the multiplayer expansion known as Comrades. Now, when I played it, it was very entertaining. Still is. But one thing I really did enjoy is the fact that if you've ever seen the last Matrix movie where Neo decided to martyr himself up for the greater good, and spoiler for anybody who hasn't seen that movie, that's what happened. Yeah, this is basically almost the same thing with you as a soldier going out in the field to try to help restore light to the world. And the best part about it, certain parts in the game, you get a chance to actually help out the main characters of the game and even beat them in certain modes. And I think it's a part of Comrades mode, and you need to actually unlock certain parts by getting power crystals to actually bring light to the certain areas in the town to unlock it. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to being Prompto again because of all the people in the class or in the said area for the game of Final Fantasy 15. Prompto is my favorite. And the reason behind that is because he gets a chance to use an SMG, a grenade, and a rocket launcher to take out dragons, monsters, and even chimeras that happens to come after you in games. And that's something that I wanted to see in an RPG game for the longest amount of time. A chance to use modern weapons against things like dragons. I don't think I've ever seen something like that before in any other game I've played. Nope, I can't think of anything. And with that said, folks, we managed to gather a couple of other questions that we were asked that we originally were supposed to have in the middle of this month that was asked to us that we didn't answer. So, First question we have up says, and it's directed toward this show here. Nice. Dear DJ Smokey, why in the world is this show so late at night? And to answer your question, the reason why is because we live in a rural traffic area where every single night when we try to do this show and we hear a loud BMW roaring by, we don't have the musical background technology that we usually have to drown it out. I mean, we could play music in the background, but during a live broadcast without the chance to level the volume on the fly, it could get messy. Really could. But we may do a morning fog edition of this show one day. And I almost forgot the name of the show. We haven't done it so long. My God. And oh, that's another show that's about to celebrate an anniversary. I think as of the 4th of January, it's going to be 6 years old. But we've only done, 6 or 7 episodes of that show. Because we're not morning people. We're going to be completely honest with you fans out there. We are not morning people at all. Since we've been working on the night shift for every single job we've ever done, yeah, mornings are not our strong suit at all. And another question that we have up says, Dear DJ Smokey, why in the world are you going to do yet another edition of the Year of the Fist to start off January? Well, the reason behind it, because most of the video game stories we got planned for next year is going to be fighting games. And as a spoiler for one of the fighting games we have up in the chamber for for January to kick off this year is most likely going to be neither Tekken 2 or, most likely that handheld game my dad gave us a long time ago that's like Rock'em Sock'em Robots with the 2 fighters that you have to use this dial to actually kick somebody in the chest, and if you do, they fall off. And that Frankenstein character they had in that game was still my favorite. Too bad I lost that in one of the houses I used to live in. I don't even remember what house I was living in to lose it. Probably my grandma's, I'm not sure. And the last but not least question that we forgot to answer during a music village many moons ago that we should have answered sooner says, Dear DJ Smokey, and this comes from my friend Juju, by the way, I almost forgot to mention, will you ever play me in Madden or baseball? And to answer both of those questions, absolutely not. Because I'm not sure if he's ever heard the story I told him before. Oh wait, he heard it 1,000 times about how I got the bejesus kicked out of me by my brother and my uncle and even my dad, who rarely plays sports games, beat all the crap out of me in sports games in my lifetime. I said I'm staying far away from sports games unless I'm playing a Mario sports game where I would have some form of an advantage. And even then, sometimes I lose in that too. But at least I can recover from that. But the regular sports games like Madden and The Show or any of those other sports games that you know of, nope. I won't be able to recover from that. It will just bring back haunting memories of me just getting struck by lightning on the middle of a field trying to win. And I'm not sure if any of the newer games has those weather effects, which is sad. You know, they really need to re-add those into the game. Like, if you turn up the weather effects so high, there's a high possibility in an open arena you can get struck by lightning. And that's what I appreciate about game day. And by the way, Maestro, write this down. We need to do a video game review for the game Madden 98. Well, not Madden, Game Day 98. Yeah, because that's the only real sports game I could say that I played and actually tried to get better at, but failed. Horribly. Very, very horribly. Right. And with all those questions answered, folks, we now go into another part of the show, which I completely forgot, as of this upcoming Saturday, we're 6 weeks away from the Indie Awards, so let's go ahead into the next category and nominees that will be featured at the 6th annual 2020 Indie Awards. And thank you for the correction from the last time I show. It's not 2019, it's 2020 for the Indie Awards, but it's the most interesting person of 2019 for that award from last time. But this time, for the award, it will be the story of the year. And the stories we have up for this year that doesn't involve the president, Area 51, or any of those other things you've heard of so many times on the news or online that it's not even funny. So, first story we have up is that James Hetfield calls the woman who called off cougars from attacking her with their music. From Metallica. Next story we have up is the girl who won $100,000 for not using her cell phone for an entire year. And we have the utmost confidence that she will get that money by the time the Indie Awards comes out, because I think she's just about at 11 months. Not too entirely sure, but yeah, she's just about in the home stretch. Next news story we have up is giant new Carnival ship coming out in 2024. Oh, wait, in 2020 to have a roller coaster on it. Yeah, that's nuts, folks. A ship so huge that it has an active roller coaster on it. No. Next news story we have up is the fact that the super best friends broke up after 7 years of playing games with each other. And that was a news story we told in the beginning of the year that caught us out of left field. Because from the last time I remembered them doing the Saturday morning Scrub Lords and even doing segments on their show such as the Shitstorm that they do every year for their horror show base. Yeah, for them to announce in the first week of January of 2019 that they're splitting and going their separate ways really did hit me out of left field. It's the reason why that's going to be a story of the year. Another nominee is the Wu-Tang Clan gets honored with a street named after them. And to double down on that, not only that, but the continuation of the Martin Shkreli saga with the fact that their CD is still wandering about online on eBay thanks to the quote-unquote pharma bro and his bad decisions. Another news story that made it into the list is not only the story we told you last Friday about a woman who quit her job because she won the lottery and only received $5,000 or $5,500 in American. And the last but not least, or should I say 2 other stories that made it in for the story of the year for this year, folks, is not only Snickers willing to help change the date for Halloween by giving away 1 million Snicker bars, but also, and get this folks, Amazon charging 30 cents for gas as a promotional piece for one of their Amazon original shows, which almost caused a riot in Los Angeles. And not to mention will never be done again, and I got a feeling if they ever did that in New Jersey, yeah, like I said before, would be a riot. Like the Kaiser Chiefs sung a long time ago, I predict a riot. That's exactly what would happen if it ever happened in New Jersey. I can hear it from down the street, a whole bunch of cars going beep, 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 and then hear entire screech. It will be like the opening to Dawn of the Dead with people trying to get gas. And I don't want to see that happen. And with all of those news stories, folks, that are eligible for the story of the year for next year, we will be posting all those stories up on our Twitter page, and if we could, on our YouTube page for you fans to vote on to decide who's gonna go home with that coveted award when the Indie Awards hit your local TV screens or local Android devices or Apple devices and watches or whatever device you choose to watch it on as of the leap year of February 29th of 2020. Yes, folks, lead the leap year for the Indie Awards for this year to truly make it special. And besides that lethal leap year Indie Award news, folks, we now head into the final list of high scores that we're going to mention for this year. And the first high score that we have up comes from none other than Omargeddon with his high score of 851,600 for the Genesis Mega Drive game of Space Harrier 2 under normal difficulty. Then you have Huge 10 with his high score of 96,460 for the ZX Spectrum game of Helter Skelter. That Beatles song? I didn't know they made a game of that. And the next high score that we have up comes from Retro Rob with his high score of 29,252. Oh, wait. A little ballpark error, folks. His high score of 29,252,110 for the arcade PS4 pinballing game of Pinball Arcade No Good Goofers. And I think that's what I did, a no good goofer. That's what I'm going to call every ballpark error from now on, a no good goofer. And besides my silliness, folks, next high score we have up comes from Bam Mies with his high score of 80 in the Intellivision game of Sewer Sam Level 4. Sounds like a knockoff version of Mario where some guy got lost in the sewer and had to fight his way out, rated R, featured in theaters in the near future. Yeah. That would be a good movie. Write that one down too, Maestro. And the next high score, besides us getting movie ideas from video games again, comes from Bam Mies with his high score of 400 for the Intellivision game of Safecracker under the hard difficulty. Then you have S. Bass with his high score of 26,900 for the Nintendo and Game Boy Advance game of Defender. Nice. Then you have Ed 1475 with his high score of 54,850 for the pinball game of Captain Fantastic. Is he a cousin of Captain Planet somehow? I don't know. These names for games, I'm telling you, they're getting me with these wonderful ideas for these weird names for games. Anyway, next high score we have up is Omargeddon with his high score of 757,100 for the Game Boy Advance game of Pinball Mania Tarantula. Dang it, it's Tarantula. Thank you, OSW Review, for making me say Tarantula instead of Tarantula. Oh, Marge Simpson. Anyway, next high score we have up comes from S. Bass with his high score of 356,320 for the pinball game of Totem. Also, besides that, you have Huge 10 with his high score of 24,700 for the ZX Spectrum game of Nemesis. Then you have Larquay with his high score of 51,930 for the Game Boy Advance game of Afterbirth under normal difficulty. And according to the Maestro, it's just the Game Boy version of the game. Oh, alright. And the last but not least high score that we have up for this week comes from none other than Ed 1475 with his high score of 57,000 for the Atari game of Space Fury Skill 2. And apparently it was a part of the ColecoVision. But it's still Atari, so we'll count it. And if you guys want to check out any other cool high scores that are still trying to make their way through the Twitterverse as we speak before this year and decade comes to an end, you can head on over to the Twitter page of one man only known as @HighScore, or head on over to the website known as highscore.com to win cool prizes for your high scores. And like we say all the time during these parts of the show that we happen to have on any show we do, it's a fair trade. And the high score that we have that's gonna wrap up this year, and congratulations to him, none other than Omar getting with his high score of 94,032,206 from the video game Muppet Pinball Mayhem for a Kermit level under 5 balls for the Game Boy Advance. And as a reminder for all you high-scoring fans out there who are still submitting in high scores, we will count them a part of the Indie Awards as an intermission award we will have, most likely between the Golden Cast and the Creator of the Year award. Not too entirely sure where we're going to put it, but we are going to read off your high scores, and the one with the highest score will get the Golden Joystick Award that we will have for the Indie Awards for your high scores. We was going to call it something else, but since Maestro had this old joystick that he had and dipped it in gold, and it's gilded now, we might as well go with it. So yeah. Good luck to all of you gamers out there trying to shoot for it. And with that said, folks, we now go into another classic 8-bit lavish home year-ending, decade-ending edition of the lifestyles of the digitally rich and famous. And the first house we have up that comes from the creator, Miller. Or Miller? You know what, we'll go with the second one, with their house, 52 Dove Street. And this house, which is a beautiful, I guess, black house that comes with 2 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms, and that's a first for us here on the Lifestyles of the Digitally Rich and Famous, somebody having more bedrooms than bathrooms. Oh wait. Never mind, I thought it was more bathrooms than bedrooms. We read that backwards. So it's 2 bathrooms and 3 bedrooms, and this house, a beautiful house that comes with a fence, which, like we tell you all the time, is a good thing around here, especially for those who has the supernatural pack or nosy neighbors who decides to go into your house to steal your possessions. And not to mention the fact that you can improve upon this house, and the nice touch feature that we really appreciate about this home is the fact that they included that well over expensive window that they have for the front of the house in the hallway for the second floor, which, like we said before, nice touch. And it does come with a garage big enough for you to do the ambitions pack for if you decide to go for the firefighter career track. And as a little bit of a warning, if you want to expand upon this house that is on a 30 by 30 lot, you will have to move some of the trees that are surrounding the property out of the way and move the fence a little bit back so you can make it happen. But besides that, definitely a perfect home for you to start with your sim family. And the next house that we have up, or should we say apartment, comes from the creator NNN Natalie with their house, Apartment 1-447C-42-2X. Which for some strange reason reminds me of something from Duck Dodgers with all those numbers and dashes. But either way, this house or apartment complex is definitely a place I recommend for you guys to live in, because not only it comes with a beautiful 1 bedroom and 1 bathroom house that can fit up to 1 to 2 Sims, but the fact that it's able to have all the latest technology for a kitchen and even a computer and an entertainment center that you could have in this tiny apartment is a wonderful thing. And even a massage chair included in this apartment for those hard days when you're going to work at that dive bar or any local place you decide to work in this game. And I think I only lived in an apartment in The Sims for about, I have to ballpark it for about in-game time 3 months. And the only reason I did that is because I had to save up enough money to move to an actual house. So a house or apartment like this is perfect for you fans out there who's looking to live on a budget till you move up to something bigger. And the next house that we have up, speaking of something bigger, folks, comes from the creator Hughes Boo Boo with his said house, Seaside Bungalow. And we're not kidding when we say Seaside Bungalow, folks, because this house is directly by the sea, and it's a 1 bedroom, nay, strike that, 2 bedroom, 2 bath house that comes with its own boat and jet skis included for this said home. And as a heads up for anybody who chooses to live here, you do need the following packs of the regular sim game along with Late Night, Pets, Showtime, Generations, Island Paradise, especially if you want to live here with the boats, Ambitions, and 70s, 80s, and 90s pack included for this game. But besides the packs you do need for this game, the fact that he was able to create this oceanfront property to not only include a beautiful blue tint to it, but also the ability to have this house with its own play center for kids, it's a nice touch. Now, hopefully the kids who live in this house knows how to swim and is not getting behind the wheel of those boats. Because if you've seen Rugrats, that can get horrible in a hurry. Especially if the person there has a boat that goes by the name of a Kingfisher 9000. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, watch that one episode of Rugrats. You'll definitely know what I'm talking about. And also, it does include a fence to keep the nosy neighbors and the zombies out, so it's definitely a plus. But the only drawback to this, folks, if you're looking to have a driveway for this house, you may have to extend the property itself to include one. But since you have a boat and you're on an island, I don't think that's going to be an issue. I got a feeling whatever you need to get is going to be on the other side of the island, almost like Gilligan's Island. Which would be pretty fun to see if you could do that too. But before we start thinking of an island Sims version of Gilligan's Island, folks, the next house that we have up comes from the creator Infragreen with their house, the Grapefruit House 3 bedroom, 1.5 bath. Oh, and the fact that this house not only has that in it, folks, but also has a beautiful pond in the front where you can go fishing in, and even its own garbage can, and I thought was a fire hydrant, but apparently it was not, is a nice touch. And it even has its own garden in the front of the house too. So for those out there who has a green thumb and is looking to grow your own fruits and vegetables to save you money, this house is right up your alley. And to make things even better, folks, plenty of room in the backyard for you to improve upon this said house, and even add your own garage in there as well, which I highly recommend you do, unless you're one of those people who likes to be eco-friendly. Then you could just add a bike rack over in the corner. I almost forgot what it was, but yeah, a bike rack. Unless you're playing with the Supernatural pack, add a fence too, by the way, and just get a broom handle so you can have brooms there to fly to where you need to go. A lot of options with this house and plenty of room for improvement. And the last but not least house that we have up comes from the creator CeeLo Stiletto with their house 77 Ocean View Drive, Reno. And this house is an upgrade of the classic Reno house that was included with the game itself, that not only includes a brand new picket fence, but also on a bigger lot, which is 30 by 30. Nice! So for those who complained about size for this house before with the size of the house on a small lot, he decided to upgrade the lot for you and even include a beautiful garden in the back, and its own driveway and a couple of other improvements that were added to the house, including an outdoor dining area. Ooh. Ah. I need to get an audience in here to actually ooh and ah for those certain parts that are cool like that, but still, very impressive that he was able to make this. And the only suggestion we have for you fans out there who are a little bit iffy about the front of the house having all of those tiles is to actually spray in a little bit of grass in the front, and it should be just fine. Really should. And with all those houses read off, folks, if you guys want to check out any other lavish homes that are currently on the internet that you can currently get and download for your sim game as we speak, you can head on over to the Sims 3 exchange page, only known as thesims3.com, and head directly onto that exchange page to check out a whole bunch of beautiful homes that'll make you have 8-bit caviar wishes and digital champagne dreams. And I'm so proud of myself right now that I got that line correct before this year closed out. Little miniature round of applause for me right now, Maestro. No? Alright, I'll give it to myself in my head then. And with that said, folks, the favorite houses of the week we have to wrap up this year not only is the last house we read of 77 Ocean View Drive, Reno, but also alongside with it, if we could live in the house, if we did have the pack, the Seaside House, or Seaside Bungalow, created by Huge Boo Boo. Which, for some strange reason, makes me think of the old teacher I used to have that could impersonate Yogi Bear, which always put a smile on my face, too. Yeah, great guy. Great guy. And, well, there is the bell, folks, and seeing the fact that we're well past the midnight hour, it's just about that time for us to get ready and get prepared for the last 2 shows we have for the year and bring a work in progress for this week and for this year, along with this decade, to an emphatic close. But if you guys and gals out there miss anything for this week's edition of the show, don't worry, we got you covered. Because you can catch the show again one more time, all the time, on our SoundCloud, Facebook, or even Tumblr pages, all named the same, only known as Music Village Radio under the hashtag A Work in Progress 24. And I really wish we could have had this after Christmas, because we could have made that Christmas joke with it being before Christmas with 24, but I guess 24 hours before the year ends is just gonna have to do. Yeah, best joke we can come up with on short notice. And if you guys want to figure out what other crazy and zany things we still got prepared for these remaining days and hours that remains for this AC December heading directly into the 6th annual Year of the Fist, like a joke we wish we could have done a lot sooner, and it would have been funny if we could have, you can go ahead and check it out on our YouTube/Twitter pages, still named the same, only known as the Double Agent 0012. And oh, before we go, Maestro, give us a couple more seconds on the clock. We almost forgot to mention, due to a little bit of an oops-a-daisy error we did, folks, the upload time for all the episodes that we're going to do for this week may be extended by a full 24 hours. So if you're expecting the New Year's edition of the Tuesday Night Special, you may not see it until the second day of the year. And same thing with Under the Radar. That might be the last show we upload for the year due to the fact that we accidentally logged out for a program we use to upload the shows. And when we did, we couldn't log back in on it because they removed the feature to actually upload it to YouTube, which made our lives a lot easier, which is going to make things a lot harder for us to do, but we're going to figure out a way around it. We really are. And with that said, we would like to thank you, the fans out there, for listening in to another random year-ending edition of A Work in Progress. And alongside with them, we would also like to thank you, the independent artists out there, for delivering that musical goodness like you always do. And like we always say, folks, keep up the great work, keep up with that great music, and keep on inspiring others with that said music. Yeah. And we would also like to thank our musical guest for tonight, none other than Tekno AXE, with his song Streetwalk Manifesto, that was featured during the intro and will be featured once again during the outro for this week's edition of A Work in Progress. And as always, Tekno AXE, keep up the great work, and we can't wait to see what you got planned in 2020 with your awesome music. And finally, last but not least, we would like to thank you, the independent gamers out there, for coming out with all those sweet, sweet high scores and cool homes we had a chance to talk about during this very show for this week as well. And as always, keep those high scores, those games, those homes a coming, because next year is going to be big and bright, and we want to make sure your games can shine under that bright light, whether it be street light, sunlight, or moonlight that will be featured during this said show. And as a matter of fact, according to the Maestro with the break in the clouds, the moon is coming through, and your games are shining just as bright underneath them. So keep up the great work. And I guess with that said, folks, you guys out there, now we go out. I'm DJ Smokey, flanked alongside with the Maestro for this AC December coming to a close for this show, saying, when there's smoke, there's fire. And we'll see you guys next year for another random, out of nowhere, like a diamond cutter edition of A Work in Progress. But until then, folks, have a happy and safe and healthy new year, and good night, everybody.
Walk down the street, saying hello to the people I meet, and I'm killing my love underneath the sun, triggering down like the smoking gun. Yeah, I ain't got no plans, just a rusty voice and an empty gas can. My car's broken down a mile behind, and I've got my life set on rewind, baby. I ain't got no plans, just a rusty voice and an empty gas can. My car's broken down a mile behind, and I've got my life set on rewind, baby. street, saying hello to the people I meet, and I'm killing my love underneath the sun, triggering down like the smoking gun. Yeah, I ain't got no plans, just a rusty voice and an empty gas can. My car's broken down a mile behind, and I've got my life set on rewind, baby. I ain't got no plans, just a rusty voice and an empty gas can. My car's broken down a mile behind, and I've got my life set on rewind, baby. Da da da